let's get into what we do know from what's transpired so far in the preseason. And we'll actually lead with this one, not going in the order on the sheet, but the response to potential time missed by JoJo, Sammy Walker season.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the exact thing we talked about before, where like since he signed, in every preseason thing, prospect thing, games that he's played in, when he went to the AHL, he's just performed more than like anyone expected, really. And that's continued this preseason, where he lights up the prospect showcase, which again, he's older. He should be one of the better players out there, but like hat trick there. But this preseason game against Colorado, the one that we could fucking watch so far, he was unbelievable. He was incredible. I think he was a 3-point night, maybe even 3-point. He had 2 goals and assists. He is everywhere. He's on the puck. He's active defensively. The skating's even taken a step, I thought, too. I thought he looked even quicker than he did last year. Like, again, we've talked about it before, like, in so many other organizations, he is playing in the NHL. And again, I've talked about it. Like, I didn't expect this immediately when he signed with Minnesota last year. I thought it would take some adjusting just with the player that he was with Minnesota. But he just came in and kind of just took the AHL by storm, looked more than capable when he played in the NHL games last year. And again, this year, the preseason, possible player out there, and just one of a couple of those standouts in that win against Colorado. But who knows if JoJo is hurt? Maybe that's his opportunity to play at the start of the year, and then a little higher up in the lineup than he was last year too. So, I mean, it's crazy. Like, he's earned every minute that he's got so far and more than he's got. So, I'll be curious to see how many games he does get this year. I mean, it will depend on the injury stuff. Like, as John just said, some it's weird. It's you don't want to hope
turn from John, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, this kid, man, like it's crazy. Like, I haven't really seen someone or a player do that. Like, it's not even just how good he's been. It's just like how different his college career was, just like how he was kind of viewed as just the all around like go-to guy for not necessarily like points, but like big moments, like whether it's offense, defense, whatever it is, like leadership, all that stuff that doesn't always reflect on the score sheet. But he's just that, again, like he comes to AHL, leads that team in scoring and lights it up, scores over 20 goals, comes into the NHL, looks phenomenal, like flashing skill, like turning guys. It's unbelievable. So he deserves to get a long look in consideration. It's just with the cap, B, the players that are in front of him. It's tricky for him. And again, like another thing we've talked about before, this is like with his age, right around when a player is going to be looking to establish like an NHL role full time. And I mean, I don't think anyone can really argue that he hasn't earned a spot, even with the small sample size somewhat. I mean, he had a full season of just doing everything he was asked to do. So he's been so good, man. It's crazy. Like, I really, like, every time I'm shocked. I don't know why. I like am surprised at this point, because it's just been like there's been no step backwards for him. So I mean, again, hopefully he does get that long look, because he's been phenomenal since day one.
And another guy that's been looking good, that's also vying for some time up at the big club, line mate Vinny Lettieri. How would you compare what he's shown us so far, and like who do you think has the leg up on actually getting playing time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm less surprised with Lettieri just because I've seen him in the league before. Like, even last year he was with Providence, so I saw him a lot there, and he was the best player on Providence last season. So, I mean, I would assume that realistically he probably does have that leg up, just given, he does have more experience. They probably, thanks to that experience, probably trust him a little bit more. And I mean, the contract too. I would assume that was the guy that they would like to have room to have as that 13th forward. And then as injuries come, I'm sure he was probably going to be leaned on as that first guy to step up. And he's been, I mean, another guy that he looked great against Colorado. Obviously was involved in the scoring there. That fucking like the 2-on-1, 2-on-0, like
2-on-0
dagger was I don't know why I always think it's really funny when you just like blew, like, I mean, clap bomb. Like, he ripped that puck. I don't know why. It's probably because I'm an idiot, but like, that shit to me is so funny where it's just like, he is right in front of the net, 2-on-0, clap bomb, first time, and he went shelf. But he deserved a goal that game for sure. He was all over the puck in the offensive zone, especially. But he's a good player. But another guy that he's good enough to play in the league. It's just where he's been. There's been no like window for him to step in. But
yeah,
I think that's a good 13th forward to have too.
Sure. And am I oversimplifying it to say like if it's Johansson replacement, we're looking Sammy Walker because we've seen him fit in seamlessly on that line and he fits the profile of what you need there. Whereas if we're looking at a bottom six replacement, Vinny Lettieri is going to be looked to first.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen it with Walker, but I still wonder if they would look at Lettieri more because I think his profile is geared more towards just like the offensive output. And again, but now with the past like 12 months have maybe changed things a little bit, especially for Sammy Walker. But again, I think given his experience, the amount of games he has played already in his career, I still think that they're probably would lean first off with Lettieri.
And the contract.
Again, the contract is like
that helps.
It's crazy because like every decision they make, like even with like call ups at this point, just given their cap situation, like it's funny. It's just a lot of it has to do with like, all right, well, what's the contract situation, which is crazy. But I mean, but it's honestly a good problem to have when there's two guys that you could be like, yeah, I would be comfortable with either one of them, like sliding into those roles. Obviously, it's not the same level of Johansson, but they can fill a role and be admirable in that position. So I would assume again. That's a selfish. Did it? I do. I have to fucking mute those games when I watch.
Are we gonna talk about Damon Hunt? Do we just go to that right now?
Yeah, so we can go there. It is. So I mean, this fucking poor kid, dude. I don't know how. I haven't seen any updates because again, I don't pay attention. But I mean, he got clipped hard right in the face. I really don't think it was anything like crazy like I don't like it looked weird because I was like, well, why are you going? But he was trying to get around the net, so it was like he had to go that way a little bit. He did tuck.
It's an illegal play, but I don't think the guy's like going after him trying to end his career or anything like that.
Right. Like, I mean, there's plenty of guys that want to, if they're looking to make a name for themselves, it's like whether it's like a big hit or like a fight or something. But like that play, like there's no one comes away from like, oh yeah, he really like made his mark or like stood out the pre. So I really don't think it was anything malicious. It's just I literally had to mute the commentary because it was just the reaches. They were like, oh, that, and the fact that the guy was like, in the back of the day, that was a good hit. They're like, okay, you didn't have to go there. Like, that's crazy. Like, at no point was anyone like, yeah, phenomenal hit, bro. Even back in the day, like, I was like, yeah, solid.
You know what? I just saw vintage Scott Stevens right there. That was beautiful textbook, right to the dome.
Yeah. I mean, it's just sucks, dude. Like, and as Mateo said, like, you got blindsided. I don't think it was malicious. It was just very, like...
It's a penalty in a real game. It should be, right?
Probably, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yes, for sure. But like anyone that, like, I told you I had to mute because I tweeted the video. I had to fucking mute it because like the amount of people being like, oh, gotta keep your head up. Like, if you don't keep your head up, you deserve it. Like, you're a fucking asshole. Like, you're such a piece of shit. If you're like, well, that's what you get for keeping your head down.
Can you imagine those
14 feet away?
If Elon's gonna start charging people for X and Twitter, whatever, if he can give us something where like you can geolocate the dipshits that post that, just so I can like catch them on a street corner with their head down looking at their phone and I just clip them in the head. Like, oh shit, sorry, had your head down. Oh wow.
Deserved. I literally had someone say verdict deserved.
Like, yeah, that was on me.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, I should have. Oh man, I can't believe it. I just didn't have my head up there. It sucked. But like realistically, whatever, people are idiots, but it just fucking sucks for this kid. It is unbelievable. Like the injuries he's sustained over the past like 4 years. It's brutal timing every time. And so many of them are they just like these freak plays that never happened, or it's like when it was in the World Juniors camp, blocking a shot, broke his hand. Like it's just every year there's been something, and he's overcome it every time. But Jesus Christ, this poor kid just can't catch a break. Like he was looking good too. Such a good skater, so good with the puck. Like he's big, he's strong, mobile. Like another kid that was going to be challenging, or still is. I mean, we don't know how serious. Like we don't know if it's like a major concussion or anything. I mean, it looked brutal. But another kid that was just like, was he going to make the team out of camp? No. But was he the challenge? Yeah, he's one of the first guys that they're looking at. Like, all right, like when you project a couple years out, like who's the first up to get called up and make the team for their young defenseman? He was right at the top of that list. So just fucking brutal luck. This poor kid can't catch a break. It sucks. Like that. Of course, it just had to be Damon Hunt again. But hopefully he's all right. Hopefully it was a precautionary thing. Again, I haven't seen any big updates or anything, but I just want this kid to catch one break 1 year, one time. Sure. Good point, Esteban
Cosgrove. We got to talk about our favorite twins in the Wild system. You were swooning over Mr. Haight. Hunter
Haight, and I tweeted it in the middle game that he is going to be a player. In junior hockey, like in his draft year, and then last year when he went over to Saginaw, like obviously you see that level of skill that so many top prospects have. Like it doesn't surprise you when he's doing against kids his age, but he stepped right in. And again, it wasn't like Colorado's A squad or whatever, but they had some guys playing, like Bo Byram was playing. But like the poise on the puck, the playmaking, the skating, again, like he has so many tools in his arsenal, and he was great. And as it usually goes, obviously after like they all get like that one preseason game, and a lot of the kids that get drafted either that year or the year before, they get sent back to their junior teams. With a full year in Saginaw, with them hosting the Mem Cup too, I think he is going to eviscerate the OHL. Like, again, just the decision-making too with the puck. Every time he was on the ice, he was more than noticeable. And he made a bunch of those plays. That pass that he had to Walker, I think it was on the second goal. Maybe it was it might have been the third goal. I mean, he rifled that puck backdoor through a seam. He's a dual threat. He's got a great shot. Again, the passing is unbelievable. Dynamic playmaker. But again, like the poise to have the puck and not just want to get rid of it as a young player playing in the NHL preseason against some big fucking boys like Colorado too. He looked phenomenal, and he looked really good at the prospect showcase too. So definitely, I think at the time when he got picked, there were a few people who were like, yo, that's going to be a good pick, even if he is relatively in this draft class somewhat more of an unknown. But I mean, you're seeing exactly what the scouts saw. And I mean, he's got some tenacity to him too. It's another thing. I talked about it like prospect showcase. I don't think he wanted to get in that fight, but he's like, all right, well, I guess we're doing this now. Popped right back up after getting hammered. Immediately scored a goal in that showcase. So, but he just looked so good this preseason. I thought he was phenomenal against Colorado in that preseason game. And of course, actually, before the SpokedZ mush continues, during the prospect showcase, I said my one analysis of the power play is very smart of the coaches to put Hunter Haight and Riley Height on separate power play units. First preseason game, what do? They put them on the same goddamn line. And I'll tell you what, I was having a hard time. The Avs announcers were having one hell of a time with it before I muted them. It is. And of course, they were just like passing. There was one sequence where they went back and forth passing to each other, like a Prizov Zuccarello behind the net. And I was just like, this is fucking unbelievable. They know, they have to know. But they both look great. Height and Haight.
Now, Haight's squad in the OHL is hosting the Mem Cup this year, correct?
Yep, that's what I was saying, yeah.
I mean, how does the squad look? Like, are they in contention, or is it a stretch?
No, they've got another solid team. Another guy that I'm sure we'll talk about as the year goes on for this draft class is Zane Perek. Yeah, Zane Perek. Defenseman, right shot, great skater, offensive weapon. I think he scored like as a draft -1 in the OHL last year. I think he scored like 23 goals as a defenseman. And like Saginaw was they were a good team. But I mean, they traded Pavel Mintyukov, which still was really weird to me because like they were absolutely like one of the teams that could win their division, like go far, the Mem Cup, whatever, like, or at least the OHL playoffs. So I was very surprised when that trade happened. But yeah, no, the Saginaw, they've got some players. They've got some real good players. They also have Michael Misa for the 2025 draft, who lit it up as a draft -2, a double underager last year, the OHL. He's one of the guys that you're looking at for number 1 overall in 2025. So they've got a solid squad too. So yeah, I'm sure. And any team that's hosting the Mem Cup, you can guarantee they are going to be loading up at the.
I was just gonna ask, like, how many 9-year-olds are getting traded?
We won't see quite like the Zellweger trade, which still is like, I mean, they were trading future like 10-year-olds. Yeah, it was crazy. Like I don't think we'll see that again. But it is just like very funny how that fucking like trade deadline works, where every year it's just like, all right, they traded 4 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, 7 third-round picks, and 4 players for a guy they're going to have for a month and a half. It's like, Jesus Christ, this is crazy. But yeah, no, they'll be solid. And again, like I said, I think Hunter Hate's going to do damage in the OHL this season.